Hi, this is the amazing 1974 game between Jacob Ost Hansen of Denmark and the now Dr. John Nunn, almost always given the adjective erudite. In his honour, this is called The Nun of That Trap, and it's an extraordinary game in the Dracula Frankenstein. It's a long game, and since we are trying to keep these videos as short as possible, I will not be going too deeply into the variations. So after e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop c4. Here, Nunn took on e4, the Dracula Frankenstein. White can take on e4, but that will result in d5, black regaining the piece. And white can also play bishop takes f7 immediately, stopping black from castling and then regaining the piece. But here Hansen played the direct queen h5, and that's hitting f7, threatening mate on the move and threatening the pawn on e5. So Nunn, who had prepared for this game in advance, drops the knight back to d6, guarding f7 and hitting the bishop on c4. Hansen plays bishop b3. Of course he could have taken on e5, but after queen e7, black's doing fine. Hard for white to really get anything without the queens in this position. So after dropping the bishop back to b3, Nunn plays knight c6, defending e5. And now, fine move by Hansen, knight b5. Now that knight on d6 is overworked. If knight takes on b5, then we have queen taking f7 mate. And white simply is threatening to exchange on d6 and then mate. Queen to e7 or to f6, and white will take on c7. So Nunn plays g6, hitting the queen. The queen retreats, but renews the threat on f7. The only move, f5. And now the queen, roundabout way, comes back to renew the threat on f7 again via d5. And only now does Nunn play queen e7, defending f7, but now offering c7. I've shown this position many times to some of my students, and they all invariably declare that white here is winning. So too do most of the engines, but in time they reassess, and black is actually doing not badly. After king d8, white wins the exchange on a8, and after b6, trying to get the c8 bishop into the game, white tries d3, getting his bishop out, and bishop b7 with a very nasty threat. Knight will jump to d4, and that queen is going to be trapped. So Hansen plays h4, and that's threatening bishop g5, which is going to pick up the black queen. So f4 cuts off the diagonal. The white queen drops back against the threat of knight d4. And Nunn brings his bishop into the game, bishop h6. Hansen is worried about knight d4 and the opening of that diagonal, so queen g4 is logical. But now e4 is going to open offensive lines for the queen. After bishop takes on f4, Nunn takes on d3 check, and the king sidesteps to f1. Nunn now exchanges the bishops in order to bring the rook into the game via f8, and that's a menacing file, the f file. The queen moves out the way, but knight e4 hitting the queen again. It does allow queen c7 check, but after king e8, white has nothing. After knight h3 defending f2, Nunn can still take on f2, since knight takes f2, queen e2 check is hitting the knight at the same time. King g1, queen takes on f2, king h2, queen takes h4 check, king g1, and queen d4, and black here is winning. So I hope you got some good ideas from this Dracula Frankenstein opening in The Nun of That Trap. An amazing game. Thanks for watching. Bye.